So this is the August 15th, 2024 meeting of Pittsburgh's LGBTQIA plus commission meeting. And we have met quorum, so we're gonna hold our meeting for August 2024. And we also have our IDEA manager, IDEA manager, I believe is your title, Adriana. So I'll turn it over to you with any updates or guidance that you would like to provide to us.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Billy. So I have quite a few updates tonight. Some good, some not so great. So I'm just going to start with the good stuff. We are in the midst of our budget process. As a part of that, I was able to advocate on behalf of the commission to be able to hopefully include some budget items. Now, these are still in the process of being approved, but I did want to give some information related to I've installed a printing budget for our commission. So I know that we've talked at least in a prior meeting about the pamphlets being a little out of date. With this printing budget, we would be able to print new pamphlets. Not that I don't want to use the ones we currently have. I'll try my very best to not waste them or anything and get them out as much as possible. But we'll be able to have that printing budget, as well as we're going to make room to have a new tablecloth so that when we go to city events or community events, that we're going to be able to have recognition as the LGBTQIA Commission. For folks that did not know prior, we did table at Pride, and we got a lot of really wonderful outreach happening at Pride, and we created a great mailing list, but we did have to use a mayor's office tablecloth. So hopefully in the future, we will be able to avoid that and have the recognition that the commission deserves. I also wanted to give a quick update about the process of having new commissioners join the commission. We have moved forward with 2 applicants. They are currently being reviewed by the executive team. I will continue to give updates as that progress continues. But I did want to let you know that I had personally interviewed them. I thought both of them were really wonderful and added really great perspectives to the commission itself. And so really looking forward to hopefully having them join the commission as that process continues. I also wanted to let you all know that the city is holding 2 more City in the Streets events for this year, and I'm going to be tabling at both of them on behalf of the commission, just to try to continue to build that mailing list, make sure that folks know that they can apply for the available seats, and hopefully just get people kind of the word out as to the work that we want to do and the progress that we're hopefully going to make, and have more people join our commission. Now, one of the agenda items I did send that we're not going to be able to do much about at this very moment, that I did just want to give some context for, is that WDVE had one of their radio shows made some transphobic comments a little under 2 weeks ago. It came to my awareness, and we started to create a statement regarding basically being obviously against any sort of hateful rhetoric, specifically around homophobia or transphobia. I do not have a great copy to give to the commission at this very moment, but the second that we do have a more finalized copy, I would really love to share with you all to get your thoughts, your feedback, your edits. And I would hope that if we have agreement on it, that we're able to move forward and have the commission sign it, as well as the mayor's office. Because obviously, if it's going to have to do with our community, I think that it's really important that the commission has some input there and is able to kind of speak their truth as to what it means to hear that kind of rhetoric and to have that affect our community members. The last update that I wanted to give, and this is pretty solemn and difficult, is that some of you may have seen the news, but Maria Montano is no longer with the mayor's office. She has resigned from her post. I can't speak too much about it, but I am happy to share the press release. Regardless of that, I do want to say that I have a lot of personal admiration for Maria. She's been a wonderful colleague of mine and mentor, and she's a huge part of this community, not only because of her identities, but because of what she has done and the work that she is continuing to work on and progress. And so if anybody wants to reach out to her or support her in their own ways, I really do encourage you to. I know many of you have your own relationships with Maria, but I did want to let you know that she will no longer be a commissioner on the commission, and that I will be in contact with the mayor about who he will be appointing in her seat. And so I'm happy to take any questions or comments about any of the updates I just gave. I know that was a lot, but that's where we are right now.
Yeah, thank you for that. I want to take a little bit of notes on this. So I have the items regarding the ability to have some funds to update the pamphlet, use the ones that we have where we can, but also get it updated. And then and do some of the things that we had earlier suggested, like take the commissioners' names out and just refer to a website. So the website can be updated a little, easier than already printed pamphlets can, but get things directed to the website. So I think that's good news. Then I didn't get quite that there's 3 events that you are going to table in the fall. I'm not sure exactly what those events are.
No, yeah. So, sorry, Billy, didn't mean to cut you off at all. Please go ahead.
That's all right. No, please tell me.
So 2 events specifically. The first one is going to be this Saturday. It is the City in the Streets, which is where the city, in partnership with our neighborhood services department, kind of holds comparable to like a block party where many of the different departments are there to be able to talk directly with constituents and residents. It's a really wonderful event where like there's food and there's kind of like mingling, and it's really, really nice and approachable. Many folks just kind of want to ask questions of what the departments are doing or what they can get involved in. And so I thought it would be an appropriate space for me to be able to talk about the commission a little bit, the work that it's supposed to be, that we're have the mission of doing, the purpose of doing. And obviously if there are folks there that are a part of our community and they're interested in joining the commission or learning more about it, then I can be there to be a little bit of a resource and take their contact information, be able to send them the application, that kind of thing. So there's 2 more of those City in the Streets happening. One is this Saturday, and the other one I believe is about 2 weeks from now. The one happening this Saturday will be in Homewood. And so if any of you are available and want to stop by, you're more than welcome, and I can send some information out after. But I'll continue to keep you updated about any of those events.
Okay. And where's the one in 2 weeks?
I'm actually blanking on where our very last City in the Streets is. We always do it in 5 different neighborhoods each summer. So give me 2 seconds, and actually I think I have a message about it that I'll be able to tell you. Actually, no, the one in 2 weeks is in Homewood. The one this weekend is in Hazelwood. That is my bad. So this weekend is in Hazelwood, and in about 2 weeks they'll be doing Homewood.
Okay, great. And then there was information also about us having our own tablecloth. So there's a banner in front of these.
Yes.
Okay, that'll be great with the.
Yes. So I'll be ordering that shortly. I just wanted to let you all know that we're going to be putting some money into the budget to make sure we have a tablecloth. I know we also talked a little bit about a tent. Tents are weirdly very expensive, so we do have to think a little bit long term about that. But at the very least, we will have a tablecloth, and I believe I will be able to work with special events, the department special events in the city, to be able to get a tent if we're ever dealing with hazardous weather or anything along those lines.
Adriana, is there any way you could give us a mock-up of what the tablecloth would look like?
Yes, absolutely. I could, Richard, and I'd be more than happy to do that in the process of ordering them, or before I order them specifically. I'm happy to share that with the commission to make sure you all are happy with the look of it.
We had one made for the advisory council. What do you call it? Advisory council?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the LGBTQIA advisory council, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And the graphic for that was very inclusive, and I could pass that on to you just so you see what it looked like. And then you might be able to use that as a base.
Wonderful. Thank you. I really would appreciate that, Richard. That would be great.
And are we going to talk more about budget on this meeting? Or should I just talk about it now?
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, we don't have a particular agenda, so I think that things that are on people's minds, bring them up.
I know
order.
Sorry, Billy.
Go ahead. No.
As when we, the advisory council also had multiple town hall meetings, and there were expenses involved in that. So I think that would be important as a community outreach, just to, basically food and whatever other expenses. Usually the spaces that we had were donated spaces. So it's more
Okay.
like how to engage for the overall event with the community and to draw them in. It's always nice to have like water or sandwiches or whatever.
Yeah.
Just something minor like that. And then the question about the pamphlet, I would love to have, and I know this is very neutral in terms of politics, but just having information for people to know how to register to vote.
I think that's fine. I think that's totally fine with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I in my business, I've given out all the pamphlets, so I do need more. So if there are just extras laying around that you want to get rid of,
Absolutely, Richard. I have easily 100 pamphlets
because
with
I
me
get a lot
alone.
of students coming back, new students that are wondering what the queer community is all about, and I just
Yeah.
sort of become that I call it the bartender. Of the concierge of what's happening in our community. And it's always good to let them know that there is a commission involved in helping secure our rights in the city.
How about I email you after this, Richard, and we can set up some time in the next week or so for me I can either come to your business or we can meet, whatever works, but I can definitely give you quite a few pamphlets in the meantime before we make the new mock-up for the new pamphlets, because
sounds good.
as I said, that sounds perfect. Okay, great.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
Also, I wanted to mention about your comment about the town halls. I think town halls are a phenomenal way for us to do outreach to the community. We do have a budget for food and drinks. So as long as we have a space that we can hold them, and even that, honestly, when it comes to like, if we wanted to do it in a rec center, like we can get that for free as well. Like any city facilities, I am more than happy to advocate on our behalf to be able to utilize so that we can hold those town halls with very little, if any, cost on us.
And usually we have a very focused discussion of whatever that town hall is. And
wonderful.
That could be obviously something we could talk about in the future. How we could spread it out and who to invite and that kind of thing.
Okay. Perfect. Any other questions I can answer, or any inquiries or anything along those lines?
Adriana, you said you were going to send out the statement that you're mocking up for to WDVE. Can you say more about what happened? This isn't the first time we've had to deal. Like they were one of the stations that was running the transphobic ad a year or two ago. So I hadn't heard about this. I was just curious if you could give us some more details.
Yeah, absolutely, Lenny, and that's totally reasonable. So, and I will say that this is something I've gotten through an email chain. I haven't listened to the literal radio show that said any of these things, but they were talking about the Olympic boxer that a lot of people were accusing of not being a cisgender woman. Really transphobic comments, and they used a slur that is often referred to for trans women multiple times within that space. So that is really the context, is they were talking about the Olympic boxer in a really horrific way, and they also used a transphobic slur multiple times. And so usually it's a little bit of a muddy place as to, when the mayor or the mayor's office kind of responds to those things or not. But in recent situations that have been obviously very hateful, we've really wanted to step up and make sure that we're speaking out for those communities. And so this was brought up to me as something that we really thought would need to be addressed. So I mocked up a little bit of a statement. It's currently going through our comms team. But as soon as it's kind of more finalized on our side, I would really love to share it with all of you for it to kind of get your review, your thoughts, your edits. We would never want to release something about our community without having the permission of the LGBTQIA commission. So that's kind of the mindset there, if that makes sense.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a transcript of what was said?
I don't have a transcript, but I think I could probably get it, honestly speaking. There might also be articles that I could send out that might be related to it. Um, so I'll do a little bit of some searching, and since I'm already going to be emailing out some information about the other stuff we're doing, I'm more than happy to include like any other information I get about that radio show, the transcript, if I can find it, and then the statement that we would hopefully attach to it, if that's all right with everyone.
Yeah, that'd be good.
All right. Anybody else have any other questions I can answer?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Great. For back to the budget, is there a way that we could review just like the potential line items? Just I don't know exactly what we can or cannot add or augment. But yeah, I was just wondering
No,
if that's
yeah, I'll tell you, Julian. I've obviously, you all know I'm very new to my position. I've not been through a budget process before. It was kind of, without a better description, kind of thrown at me as like, hey, we're doing a budget item. Kind of anything and everything that relates to your work, please include in this spreadsheet. And all of it is going to be reviewed from the exec team, and then they're kind of going to make cuts from there. There's also some budget items that I think are going to be really exciting that I can't speak more on at this moment, but I promise are very, very beneficial to our community. And so what I will say at this moment is I might not be able to share the entire spreadsheet with all of you at this very second, but I think as we get closer to getting the city council approval, that I will absolutely be able to share that with you, if that's all right. And I know that isn't the best answer in this situation. I can definitely say I put in a budget for us to have a few $100s for any sort of printing, whether that be our pamphlets, our flyers, or any other informational material. I also put in our budget that we're going to have a tablecloth. There's another item that I'd love to talk more about, but kind of needs more approval and more things figured out before I'm able to talk more about it. But I think it's going to be very beneficial. And so as soon as I have a better idea of where we are, I would love to share it with all of you.
Yeah, please. Yeah, that's great. Thank
Absolutely. You. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Is there anything else that I can answer? And also, I just want to say, if there's any ideas or thoughts or comments as to what the city or what I can do on behalf of the commission in between these meetings, I am always open to ideas, comments, concerns, anything along those lines as to kind of the direction of our commission. Because at the end of the day, I'm not in charge. I'm just a staffer, and I'm happy to kind of continue to propel our purpose and uplift our community. But it is all of you that really have the power to make decisions here.
Can I ask, are there any plans for us to meet in person?
I would love to meet in person, Richard. And honestly, the only reason I haven't pushed it more is just because I know we've had issues with transitions and meeting quorum and all of those things. But I will openly say, I obviously want the space to be accessible to everyone, and I want it to be available to everybody. I am very open to holding something here in the city county building. We have a room upstairs that would definitely hold all of us, and that we could definitely do a hybrid meeting where everybody could still get this recording and tune in kind of live. But I haven't been sure whether how much there's a desire of that from the rest of the commission. So I haven't really pushed it, but I think it would be really, really beneficial to be in person. Yes.
Second.
Wonderful. I'm like, if all of us agree, like that's good enough for me. I'm happy to book it for next month and for us to be able to have in-person meetings if you think that's going to be helpful.
I think the last time we talked about this, the issue was the city not having the proper tech facilities to be able to do this. So if you feel and and find out that that is possible to do that, I think we should at least explore it, if not for August, September, October,
Yeah.
as soon as we can do it. If we all
100%.
agree, I mean, I really want, I think it's more powerful that we all meet in person.
I'm very happy to hear that from you, Richard, and I'm happy to hear Lenny second that.
Yeah, I think that I think the tech issues were primarily if we wanted to do a hybrid meeting at a non-city office building site. Like there was more of apprehension when we were gonna hold it at the offices that Guillermo is in charge with, and we attempted that. We had some audio problems, but it still happened. It was fairly okay. But I think that was more the concern of David Feiner, as I understood it, in terms of lead time to support it, that they have to do a reconnaissance of the facility. There's more of an investment in resources and personnel to set up a hybrid at a site. But in the city county building, it might be easier. But I think that if we're going to try to do that, Adriana, we should check with David Feiner and see how they can support that. Or, maybe Heather or Alex would know, but, I think we just have to get the okay from them whether they can support it. And then we could confirm it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have that support and we would meet in person without hybrid. But I think that with our ability to get quorum, and it looks pretty good right now, with the numbers that we have, if 11 is our full commission and 9, we need 5 for quorum, we did very well tonight. I think that we could, plan to do in person, but let's put a pin in it to stay on Zoom if we aren't supported with technology.
Yeah.
But if you could find that out from David and then just email all of us.
Yeah. So I'm very happy to say that, a few commissioners brought up 2 things that I do think are important to bring up at one point or another in this meeting. First thing, they weren't getting as much notice as they would have liked. So because we haven't been meeting quorum lately, I've been reaching out to David pretty much directly after these meetings, within a day of 2 of these meetings, so that I can get the invitation and send it out to all of you as soon as possible. I think since I'm already reaching out to him really soon after this meeting, it would be a great time for me to say, hey, the commission is really interested in meeting in person. I know of at least 2 spaces in this building that would both be able to hold us, and for all purposes of all the other meetings I've been to, are able to do some sort of hybrid. So I don't think that's going to be a concern, but I agree with you that I will check with David to make sure that is okay prior to be confirming that. So I can definitely do that within the next few days. If not, by early next week, we should know whether or not we can hold September's meeting in person or not, or hybrid, let me say. The other thing I wanted to say is I know some commissioners have had trouble with the time and date of these meetings. And I do want to be mindful of, I can do outreach and I can tell folks this meeting is happening, but if they already have predetermined events or commitments, I understand that might contribute to us not being able to meet quorum. So I kind of do want to, if possible, create kind of an open discussion space that if anybody feels like there is a better time or that this specific time is really not working for them, that they're able to voice that so that we can maybe make a collective decision as to when that would be easier for everyone, if that's okay.
Well, we have a good number here. I think people can, I think we should use this time to start something like a discussion on that, as well as to maybe bring up some ideas of what we would want to see on the agenda next time, so that we formulate an agenda that has input from, this good showing tonight. I think that, I don't want to put this ahead of what I just said, because I think picking the day and week of the month, if we want to change from third Thursday, I think that's what we do, right? If we change from third Thursday, that we discuss that today. But something like as what Richard has brought up more than once, and I think Guillermo also, is to have town halls in the various neighborhoods over a course of a period of time, so that we create opportunities for connection with community members who would want to engage, or we could promote engagement in that way, because that does need to be guiding, and then also set the agenda that is related to the things that are in the legislation that are our purpose. So to familiarize us with the specific things that we're here for, and then have those meetings center on that. But I would, why don't we do this? I'm so glad that Shantae is here. Shantae, please speak up on this. You've had, the obstacle of us choosing the third Thursday, and your participation is as important as anyone else's. So but is third Thursday still good? It would be great for I think all of us to know what day. I know that there's others that have had some conflicts with the third Thursday too.
Thursdays is good with me. I just can't cam up because I'll be at work during the meetings all up until 7 p.m. So I could come on the call. I just can't cam up due to HIPAA and things like that because I work in the LGBT doctor's office.
I see. Is that every late afternoon, evening that you have that situation that Thursdays?
No, I only work until 7 on Thursdays.
Okay. And on other days?
I work until 5.
Oh. So us doing a Wednesday, like a third Wednesday, would benefit you.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Well, how do people feel about that, moving to a Wednesday?
This is Guillermo. For me, Tuesdays and Thursdays are okay. In the around these times. The other days don't work. But I'm also open to any mornings. I think we did a couple of meetings at 8 o'clock at some point. I think the evenings become sometimes a little bit difficult because people had things to do. But as long as it is in the schedule, people can manage. But the early morning meeting also may be an option. I'm just throwing that out there in case the 8 o'clock may be a possibility a certain day of the week. I don't think a Monday is good, but maybe there can be another day.
All right, so I'm sort of keeping track of this. So to accommodate, sounds like from between Guillermo and Shantae, the Tuesday is better. Tuesday is better than Thursday or Wednesday. So I'll put out there, if we moved it to the third Tuesday, would that interfere with anyone who is present tonight?
It interferes a little bit with my schedule, but I double book myself all the time. Even today, I'm at an event, so I can still be flexible. But in terms of like the meeting in person aspect, it would be hard for me. Like Guillermo said, evenings are difficult, at least for me at this time, just because we're event based at True T. I can do.
Okay. So we'll keep that in mind right now. I think that, I know for me, it would be difficult to commit to a regular time during what are sort of normal work hours. I know that that's kind of a presumption to call a set of time the normal, but what would be like an 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. period of time, I'm pretty committed. I know that, people who work in public schools generally are also, that there's just not flexibility on that.
My first class starts at 7:40, so.
Anyone else
This is
want to speak up?
Billy. This is Sarah.
Oh, sure. Go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, I have a short-term problem. I think moving it to any day is fine with me. That works for the majority of the group. I have a temporary standing daily 5:30 meeting, so I'm going to be late consistently for a bit of time, but it's not a long-term problem. It's a short-term. So don't plan around me, but just know that for the next couple of weeks, I'll be late frequently to meetings, but should be wrapped up generally by 6 or earlier.
Okay. We do got to keep an eye on quorum because we have a 5:45 alarm clock on quorum. And so whoever is here at between, our start time and 5:45 is what quorum is based on. So it's important. I'm not just saying that to say, oh, drop what you're doing, Sarah, be here on time. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that we just got a plan for it. But since you said short term, I think that we might be able to manage that.
Yeah, it should really only impact September. If it goes into November, I'll be very sad. But hopefully it's just one more meeting. And like I emailed folks earlier tonight, if you need me to log in from a second device to meet quorum temporarily for a few minutes, but not be actively able to contribute, I can do that. I just need advance notice that would be helpful. It's a little hard to juggle, but I can do it to help.
Okay. Well, our next meeting would be in September, well into perhaps the third Tuesday in September. So do you think you're free and clear by then?
September will be the last month for sure. That is a question for me. It could push into October, but I strongly hope for my sake that my daily 5:30 check-in calls are over by then.
All righty.
This is Guillermo. I wanted to add that Thursdays during the first week of each month, I have a conflict. I will not be able to attend, just to make sure I clarify that.
Yeah, you said, I thought I just heard you say Thursday. Did you say Tuesday or the third? So right now might be on a Tuesday on the third week of the month. Is that problematic?
No. I just wanted to clarify about Thursday in case people were thinking in moving the third Thursday to another Thursday of the month.
No, I think what we're doing is because Shantae is at work at until 7 on Thursdays, is to move it to a different day, to move it to Tuesdays because of also your difficulty with Wednesday. So I think we're on a Tuesday. I said third because that's what we have been doing, but that's not necessarily the day, but you got to have one. So like if there's the proposal right now by me is the third Tuesday, and we're seeing how much that interferes with other people. Julian has more difficulty in the evenings. A few of us have pretty much unavailability in the mornings. And so we're probably pressing on Julian's patience with doing it in the evening a little bit right now.
Yeah, the third Tuesday looks good. There might be at one time that I'm not able, but in general it looks okay.
And I am good on the third Tuesday or Thursday for the most part. So I'm very flexible.
Good.
And for me as well. I'm certainly available the third Tuesday.
Good. CC or Kevin, do you want to offer any thoughts on this?
Yeah, this is CC. I was just going to say the Tuesdays are good for me as well.
Oh, good.
Yeah, really either is workable for me.
Okay, well then go ahead. I was pausing because I thought someone was saying something, so I didn't want to step on them. All right, well, why don't we set it now for that our meetings will be on the third Tuesday of the month. The looking at a calendar, that would be the 17th of September would be the next one.
Adriana, is that doable for you?
Heather and
absolutely.
Alex,
I'm very lucky and privileged to be paid to be here. So I I am more than happy to make time for whatever works best for the rest of the commission. I'm happy to contact David and contact Schmitty about changing that on our website, making sure folks know that we're changing the time and day of the commission meetings, as well as making sure that the next invitation is specific to that Tuesday. Are we good with it being at 5:30 still? Is that a conflict for anyone? I just want to check that all of that is okay.
I just want to make sure that Shantae is good for the Tuesday. Are you good? Shantae?
That Tuesday is fine for me.
Yeah, so I'm happy to do all that outreach, make sure that all of that is set up, and then I'll email that out to you all either tomorrow or very early next week so that you can set that in your calendars. And I'd also say, like, if in the future there are other concerns, other things come up and we're having difficulty meeting quorum again, we can have another one of these conversations. But I am happy that we can at least talk honestly about, what works best for our schedules so that we can hopefully continue to make this more convenient for commissioners.
Okay, well, I get that's progress. Okay, so all right, we're gonna do that, and then I suggest that we think about any ideas. We got a little bit more time if we choose to use it tonight. I had said previously, just a moment ago, maybe one agenda item would be to start planning on community engagement events and where we might hold them and what we might plan to try to achieve at them, and have that on an agenda for the September meeting. If there's other things people want to talk about, then at our September meeting, let's bring them up.
A really quick idea, and again, I am happy to go off of whatever the commission thinks is the best kind of direction for this. But so we obviously have a purpose and a mission to look at the legislative kind of factors. That can take a little bit longer, and I do think there's really important things that we can do there. But on a shorter notice, we actually can look at what the city's internal policies are for city employees, specifically LGBTQIA employees, and think about like what can be made to be more inclusive for them. So just a quick example, I was just doing the Human Rights Campaign Municipality Equality Index, which is where I have to gather a ton of information from all different sectors of the city government and kind of prove that we are being as inclusive and accessible as possible to members of our community. There are points of that where we are falling a little bit short in one way or another, or where we can improve ourselves. I noticed that we didn't have an LGBTQIA liaison for the police that was listed anywhere on our website. So that's one thing that I'm doing internally to try to improve accessibility there, but also simple things like requiring our health insurances in the city to explicitly say that they are being inclusive to gender reassignment or gender affirming services. Many health insurances do not necessarily list that within our booklets, and that can be really confusing to trans folks if they're not already comfortable with going to HR. So there's what I would say is a plethora of things that we might be able to do on an internal basis within the city that the commission can recommend to either the mayor or the city council to make those improvements that we might be able to make really quick kind of progress on, if that's an interest of folks.
I think those are I think those are great things for us to tackle. We did have, some meetings with representatives of the police to try to establish a liaison type relationship. And I think that, part of why that didn't go to fruition was our commissions, it was sort of at a point where our attendance sort of waned, and that it was right at the moment that and also there was some turnover on our commission. Some people who were key to that are no longer here. So, but that is obviously has been an interest of our commission, and it certainly isn't, it's not the police department's reluctance to engage with us. It was our ability to maintain a relationship. And I think that reestablishing that opportunity, that I think the police department probably would be welcoming and glad that we would be in a place where we could do that. So I think we should have that on the agenda and see if
Wonderful.
there's any work in the interim that might. I'll send you the names of the people that we did meet with prior, and I don't have them in front of me, and I don't want to mangle them since this is being recorded.
That's okay.
I'll email them to you, and maybe you can reach out in the between now and then and see if there is already some pathway already established and with them that they might want to help.
So, first of all, very happy to hear that there's any interest in doing that. I think I already have a lovely list of all of the qualifications in the HRC MEI that I'm happy to kind of bring to our next meeting to review as a group and talk about what improvements we can make, if that's okay. We do have a police liaison for the LGBTQIA community. Their information is just not listed anywhere on our website, which is obviously an accessibility issue. So that is something that I'm very happy to kind of either, as we're talking about community engagement, as we're talking about town halls, I do think there is a possibility there for either Police Chief Scarrato to come to one of these meetings or to come to a town hall to talk more about kind of bridging those relationships and making sure there's accessibility between our community and the police, especially since he himself is a part of our community. That feels very appropriate to me. But I also, overall, I'm in complete agreement that I think that's a lovely place for us to start if we're thinking about making incremental change to our local policies.
Adriana, could you email us, Billy, the guidelines so we have
Yes.
a chance to look at it before we meet? So it's
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
This is Guillermo. If I may, I would like to make two suggestions to put on the list. The first one is, I don't think is that it doesn't relate to policy or anything like that, but I think we need to have like a tablecloth with our brand, whatever it is. Something, if we are planning on going into community events and interact with members of the different areas in Pittsburgh, I think we should have some kind of branding, and also at least one giveaway, and it doesn't have to be very expensive, but it has to be at least one, so that we can start getting our positioning, our brand in people's mind. And the other one is related to the ability to be able to send out periodic, I don't know if it's announcements or something in terms of communications, whether it's through the city or as a commission, of course. I think it's important that we're on the radar. If people don't hear us, they don't know that we exist. And and I think we have plenty of topics that we can perhaps, even if it's something small, but it's important that there's a continuity of us being out there and being noticed. If that doesn't happen, it's very difficult to get anything going.
So if everybody's all right, I'm going to speak on what Guillermo said a little bit. So I know a few folks had to come a little later in the meeting. So just to really quickly recap, the city's in the midst of the budget process. And part of that budget process was me giving recommendations as to what I think the commission deserves funding for. One of those things that we did was for a printing budget. So there's going to be a few $100s allocated specifically to new pamphlets, flyers, or anything else related that we would want printed to be able to get our name out there. And Guillermo, based off of our conversations at Pride and some of the other conversations I've had with other commissioners, I totally agree about the tablecloth. So that is also something that we're going to be doing. Richard asked that I send out a mock-up of the tablecloth to the entire commission before we order it, which I think is totally appropriate. And I want to make sure that everyone here feels like they have a say on what that looks like and that it feels inclusive towards our community. So those things are definitely going to be happening. I can fully promise that. And we are going to be moving on them. And so I can definitely give updates on those shortly. The other comment you made about a periodic, something like a newsletter or an update, because we got about 46 people that signed up for our commission, or at least to get information about the commission at Pride. And I'm going to continue that outreach at a few City in the Streets events that are coming up both this weekend and a few weekends from now in Hazelwood and in Homewood. I'm hoping to build that mailing list so that if we want a periodic newsletter, we can not only put it on our website, on the city's website, but also send it out directly to folks that have said, hey, I'm interested in learning more about the commission, or I'm interested in knowing what the commission is up to. So just as you said, we can stay on their radar. We can make sure that people know what we're actively doing.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have ideas or thoughts as to what they'd like added to the agenda or as discussion items during our next meeting?
I would like to know what's happening with their social media in terms of Facebook, or how we can, who's controlling that content, Instagram, anything else that would reach an audience.
I'll be candid. I believe when Sue Kerr stepped down from her position that she, until then, was in charge of our social media. I have not gotten control of our social media, so I'm not exactly sure how that is all working out at this very moment. I'm happy to dig in and kind of see what the status is there, try to get access to some things, or at least get us to a foundation where we know either if we have to like start new accounts from scratch or if we're able to access the accounts we already have. But I really appreciate you bringing that up, Richard, because I hadn't really thought about our social media lately, but I do think it's a really important form of outreach. So I will look into that and try to kind of get down to what's going on there.
You know, even if we create a plan transition and we said, you know, times and we say we expect that by next day, you know, we will have access to accounts and all that. Even if we get to the point, I think it will be progress that we know where we're going.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, so I'm happy to look into that and see what we can do about that, and then in the future, I'm happy to kind of build out an agenda item about, you know, what does it look like for us to do social media content to make sure we're doing outreach to the community. Something like that statement about the transphobic comments made on WDVE would be a great thing to say, hey, we want visibility to show that we're obviously against any of these hateful comments being made about members of our community, or about anybody that is going to be at the expense of members of our community. So I think that's a really, really great idea, and I'll definitely look into that and see what I can do there. And if anybody else actually has access or knows about access, you can also reach out to me personally, and we can work through what that looks like, or anything along those lines.
Yeah, I'll be in touch with you. I might be able to have some help, give you some
Great,
help.
Billy. Thank you for that. Anybody else have any ideas or thoughts about what they'd like to talk about next meeting? And once everybody feels like we've put it out, I'll read off what we've talked about, and just so everybody feels comfortable about what's going to be the next steps.
And I think what we've already said is a full agenda. Given how much the HRC index might entail, that could be
I know,
a
yeah.
private discussion. So that and the other items is would be a full meeting. I don't
Yes.
think.
All right. So unless anybody has any issues, I'll read off these next steps, and then I'll give it over to the commissioners to close it out, or to have any less comments. So for the next meeting's agenda, we're going to be discussing community engagement events. That might be town halls, that might be some other form of engagement we're doing. Something, I'll give you an update on how the City in the Streets goes this weekend, anything along those lines. We're going to be discussing the Human Rights Campaign's Municipality Equality Index, because I have already done some of the preliminary research on what we have and what we don't have. We really are going to be able to dive in to discuss where we can make improvements and what those might look like. And I will make sure that I email all of that information out to all of you to be able to review prior to starting the meeting. We're going to discuss both a periodic newsletter, what that might look like, as well as getting access to our social media and making sure we're doing proper outreach about any progress we've made, events we're going to, et cetera, making sure that the commission feels good about that. On the other side of that, I'm also going to be emailing all of you the guidelines for that Municipality Equality Index. I will be emailing you the statement for the WDVE response, as well as any transcripts or other material I get related to that, to give you as much context as possible. And I'm going to be looking into holding an in-person meeting next month in the CCB. That is not definite yet, but I am hopeful for it. We would be able to do hybrid if everything works out properly. So if you are not available to come down to downtown, that is totally fine. We'd be able to set it up so that it would be accessible to folks that wouldn't, but it would be very nice to have us all in person. So I will check that over with David, and we are changing the meeting officially to the third Tuesday of each month at 5:30. If I missed anything, or if, and Richard, I'm also going to make sure I reach out to you individually about the pamphlets, and Billy, I will talk to you about the social media. But otherwise, if you feel like I'm missing anything, please let me know.
I'll send you that mock-up of our tablecloth that we had as the advisory council. So you have a starting point.
Perfect. All right, I think I'm good on my end. I'm going to hand it all over to you.
All right. In my role as de facto facilitator, I'm going to ask if there's anything else for the good of the order, or any other items people want to bring up. Otherwise, we'll move towards closing this meeting. And by the way, thank you all for being here, because it feels good to have a meeting, and I'm looking forward to potentially having one in person next time. So if there's nothing further, then we will adjourn. Thank you, Heather and Alex, for hosting us. We always appreciate your efforts.